Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair. Welcome to Streaming Idiots. We just had a very robust pre-show, and if you're watching us on YouTube, welcome. Glad you're here. But you got to come watch live one day. Live is a lot of fun. We have some great chats before and after the show, in pre-show and post-show or after-show, whatever you want to call it. And for all the guys that hung out with us earlier, great. Glad to have you. It was a lot of fun. Really excited about today's show. I'm always excited about every show. I just can't help it. The premise of the show, at least it used to be the premise. Is that a hint? The premise of the show is that one guy with one PC can do one awesome broadcast. And since we started the show 3.5 years ago, we've been operating under that premise that you don't need multiple PCs to have a really great show. You can do it all. Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. You got to plot and plan your resources. You got to figure out how to handle cameras and how to handle audio and how to handle graphics and chat rooms and Skype and all the stuff that might go into a broadcast. But you can do it on one PC. You really can. You don't need a whole bunch. So I say that as kind of a introduction to a subject that I'm not going to cover today. I'm thinking about moving from going to more than one PC. I said it. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Today we're going to talk about NDI. NDI, the Network Device Interface, the new protocol and compression technology pioneered by NewTek. And, open source. Anybody can join in on it. They're making the SDK available to anybody that wants to come grab it and integrate it into their software or their hardware or whatever it is they're doing. It's really cool, and I think NewTek has been able to assemble. We were talking in the pre-show about the French Revolution and how there were so many attempts to start a revolution that never really took. And all those guys got squashed by the French government. What was it, the guillotine? Yeah, off with their heads. But at one point, somebody started something, and it kept going. And that may be what's going on with NewTek. NewTek has got a cadre of companies and individuals around them that they work with their Tricaster platform. That companies that develop graphics or develop other types of things that touch the Tricaster platform. And those companies are beginning to develop for NDI. And so that's what I would call the first tier. NewTek in the middle, first tier of folks, kind of the inner circle, if you want to turn it up on its side. Well, outside the inner circle is the second circle. And the second circle is going to be companies that we would call, if they were consumers, we'd call them early adopters. And that is people that are not part of NewTek's, they're not directly touched by NewTek. They don't do business with NewTek. Their products are not designed necessarily to work with the NewTek products, but they see the value in the protocol. And in that group, in that second tier, is vMix, the guys down in Australia that introduced vMix 17. Hasn't been released yet. In fact, it's not even available in beta yet, but they introduced it a couple of weeks ago actually it was last week on Monday night. They did a show. They did a show at 3 in the morning U.S. time here on the East Coast. Excuse me, it was 4 in the morning on the East Coast. 3 in the morning here in Central time zone. Anyway, they showed vMix 17 working with NDI, and basically they had two PCs and they had cameras on this one and a camera on that one, and the camera on this one was available to that one as a resource, just because both PCs had the software that had the NDI protocol on it. The NDI protocol, we think, is going to be made available as a standalone, which means it would be an app. So if your second PC had the app on it, suddenly all the resources on the second PC are now available to the first PC, which is running something like vMix. And so it's going to go out and look for devices that have the app running. I'm thinking it would be really cool if the app, the NDI app, got on your phone and could somehow incorporate your phone's microphone or your phone's camera, video camera, or who knows what else could be attached to NDI. And so one of the things I was hoping to do today with the folks in chat that have kind of been primed, we've been talking about this already, is maybe do a little brainstorming on some of the ways that NDI, well, you know, you always have a product with its intended purpose. And then somebody says, well, you know what? If you just crumble up some Oreos, that's a chocolate cookie with a vanilla icing in the middle here in the US. If you crumble up some Oreos on this product, it'll do this, which never was intended. So that's the kind of the discussion I'd like to get into today is, you know, what kind of unintended consequences is this NDI protocol going to have? Yes, I can have my camera here attached to my production PC, but if I've got a second PC running the NDI app and it's got some resources attached to it, I can bring those resources into my production PC over my gigabit network. Now, that's going to be the key. And so a lot of folks are going to say, oh, it means I've got to upgrade my network. Well, probably. Here are some numbers. A gigabit network, and we had a good discussion about this in the pre-show, but a gigabit network, according to Andrew Cross, who is the president and CTO of NewTek, he said in an article written by, what was it? And I'll put the link in the show notes. I've already put the link in the chat. It was an article in TV Technology, tvtechnology.com, and basically it said that NDI would be able to transport 16 high-definition cameras. Now, he didn't say 720 or 1080. I'm assuming 1080. He didn't say, 30p or 60p or whatever. So we've kind of got that 16 number out there. On the vMix Live Fun Show last week, Martin Sinclair, who is the developer of vMix, at least no kin that we know of, although I'm going to find out. Martin Sinclair says that NDI has a theoretical limit of 10 HD, 1080p, 30 frame a second cameras, but more realistically, we're looking at 8. And that would sort of saturate a gigabit network. Well, here's one question. If you saturate a gigabit network with 8 cameras, what if you have a 10 gig network? Can you do 80 cameras? Can you do 80 cameras? I mean, I don't think you can, because I don't think the PC will be able to handle 80 cameras of high definition video. But if you could do 8, then maybe you could do 12 or 15 or 18 or whatever. I mean, somewhere is a number. It's going to be fun to explore that number. We were talking in pre-show, and I don't have a gigabit network here, so I was kind of asking those guys, help me out here. I don't know what I'm talking about. Should I get a gigabit network? How much is it going to cost me? What am I going to spend? And then I'm thinking, well, golly, why get a gigabit network when 2 years from now I may say I got to scrap all that because I want to get a 10 gig network. Of course, the technology 2 years from now and 10 gig networks will probably be a lot cheaper than it is now. So I just talked myself out of it. Let's go back to some ideas on. These are the common ideas on using NDI with what's going on right now. Existing cameras today probably are not going to connect to NDI without some sort of dongle, some sort of device similar to, but not exactly like this Magewell HDMI-to-SDI dongle. And it's just a dongle. It comes with an HDMI cable, Oh, excuse me, this is USB to SDI. But let's say it wasn't. Let's say it was HDMI to Ethernet, and it's, you know, it's as big of it as the teeny tiny original iPhone. And let's see, we pull it out and get a good size on it. It just came in the mail today. Yeah, and so this is big enough to fit in the palm of my hand. It would have HDMI on one end, Ethernet jack on the other end. Hopefully somehow it would be self-powered, wouldn't require power of its own. And suddenly every camera that we own is now NDI compatible because the compatibility happens here, not in the camera. Now, again, is Canon going to rework their entire camera line in order to make their cameras NDI compatible? Because, you know, do they see the streaming industry as a huge source of sales? Probably not. Probably not, but maybe. And if they do, then Panasonic will and Sony will. I mean, you know, somebody's going to be the first one to jump into the pool. But whoever jumps into the pool with this is going to really, really, really rule the day, at least at first. So if you've got the technology to put something like this together, get to it because it's going to be big. And I'll put it in my store. That'll guarantee you dozens of sales. So anyway, we'll be actually reviewing this, the USB 3 to SDI dongle from Magewell. It's called the USB Capture SDI. We'll be reviewing this in an upcoming episode. Thanks to the Magewell folks for sending it to us. And by the way, it does come with a USB 3 cable, and it comes with a, oh, you know those Blackmagic, the Blackmagic quad that has a little micro mini SDI. Well, this is kind of like that, but different. So I guess it just plugs in. Yeah, it plugs in like that. And then you've got full-size SDI on the end of it. But this is not a review of that device. We're talking about NDI today, not SDI. Although we will talk about SDI a little bit. So you got the camera that is connected to your PC. Suddenly, it's not connected with a capture card anymore. Whoops. It's connected with a dongle, and then it's connected into your network. So is this going to put all the capture card people out of business? Are capture cards going to be functionally obsolete next year? Magewell, Blackmagic, Yuan, AJA. I'm thinking of the folks that are making these. Are they going to begin to phase out? Are they going to have to phase out and figure out a different way of handling their product? Obviously, nobody's making any decision right now because we're not sure if this is the French Revolution or if it's just a French Revolution that doesn't really make it. But we're going to find out in April, because we're going to find out in April if there's a groundswell of support of products that are NDI compatible, or at least close to it. April 16th, something like that, is the NAB convention in Las Vegas. Las Vegas, yes. I was going to say Los Angeles, but I know it's Las Vegas. I should know because I'm going. The other thing, getting back to our little list over here, though, this is the kind of stuff that I think NewTek had in mind. Cameras, graphics, instant replay, those things are, well, probably Skype too, because NewTek's got that Skype talk show device. All these are going to be available now on the network. They're not going to have to physically be connected via some sort of video sending cable and some sort of video receiving cable, probably SDI. So the network is going to bear the load of all this stuff. Is this going to be a, boy, I'm ending up with more questions than I am answers. But looking at, for example, NewTek's talk show, it's a PC, which their Tricaster is essentially a PC running Windows. But the talk show is a PC that will bring in using the Skype TX the kind of the commercial Skype, multiple Skype callers, and park them in a green room, and then you can select them from the NewTek Tricaster or other devices, I guess. Is this going to make that obsolete? Can I use NDI technology and build or go to Walmart and buy a PC, with a Intel Celeron processor in it or something like that, and bring Skype in and hook it up to my network and have the same function as a talk show PC? I know right now that having audio come into a second PC over SDI could be huge for for people that are working in the music industry, in music venues, in events where you're bringing in audio from various sources, in churches where audio is going to come from different places. Suddenly, this allows us to rethink the whole audio mix. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if the NDI technology wasn't picked up by somebody like Behringer and incorporated into its X line of mixers, not the kind of mixer that I use with the sliders on it, but the big digital mixer that's going into so many churches and bands are using. And suddenly now, plugging in 3 Ethernet cables or plug it into a network, you can have remote mics that don't have to have the big head end that Behringer sells. I mean, again, unintended consequences of a new technology. I've got some more notes here. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's is this going to be obsolete? This is a Magewell Pro Capture Quad HDMI version. Sells for $900 retail. $900 retail. You need one of these? I'll hook you up. I've got them in my vest. How is this technology going to affect things like? Oh, somebody's asking me, Jerry, you looking for this one? This is the Magewell USB Capture SDI, and it's on our website in the store at easternshorebroadcasting.com. This is there. The idea that vMix can run on one PC and the vMix license allows you to put it on a second PC as a backup has the caveat that both PCs can't be operating vMix at the same time. So if you've got a second PC and you want to send the camera from the second PC to the first PC, or send audio, or send Skype, and you're using a vMix to vMix connection, it can't be the same license. It's got to be a separate license. So, for example, here on my production PC, I'm using vMix 4K. One day I hope to upgrade to vMix Pro, but right now we're using vMix 4K. If I want to have a separate PC that's running Skype, that's going to send me the audio and video for Skype, and then allow me to send back a feed there that can be sent to Skype, and use vMix on that second PC to do that, I'm going to have to buy a second license. And if I'm doing high definition, then I can't use the free basic SD license. I'm going to have to use the basic HD license, because I'm not going to need a whole lot of inputs. The basic HD license allows 4 inputs. The regular HD license allows 1,000 inputs, so there's a big jump between the two. And frankly, the basic HD license is underpriced at $60, but frankly, everything at vMix is underpriced. It's a tremendous value. So if I'm going to work in a 1 PC, 2 PC situation with vMix in both places, I'm going to have my main license, which is probably going to be for HD or better. And then I'm going to have a second license that will be vMix basic HD in order to have a NDI protocol compatible software there, assuming that there's not an NDI app available pretty quickly. And that's going to be able to send and receive audio and video so that it can communicate, send those out with Skype. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that works out. And that would mean, too, if I've got three Skype, I'm so excited I can't even count. If I had 3 Skype PCs and a main production PC, I would need 4 vMix licenses, 1 main license and then 4 vMix basic HD licenses, because they can't be used at the same time. So that's going to be really interesting to see on that. What about the whole idea of, I've got, here in the studio, I've got a router that's attached to a modem, and the modem has got, well, at least up to, up to 100 megs down and 25 megs up. And I routinely get, about 80 megs down and about 27 megs up. And I'm really interested in uplink anyway. So I really don't care that they're giving me more than what I'm paying for. Shh, don't tell them. But I don't want to clog up my network with all this video traffic. I'm going to have to add a second network if I'm going to get heavy duty into to translating video, because I don't want it to take some of the bandwidth that I would otherwise be using to stream. Am I just being an idiot about this? Probably. It's the name of the show. But they do make motherboards that have 2 Ethernet connections. If you've got a great motherboard and it's only got 1, you can add a NIC card and make sure it's a gigabit card, so that you've got the ability to set up, not only you have your internet connection, but you can have this network over here that's separate from that, that's just transmitting video and audio and doesn't have any other traffic on it. I think that's going to be the bomb. That's going to be the way to do it. But again, don't know. According to Martin Sinclair, this network can handle 10, in theory, realistically, 8 cameras of 1080p 30 frames a second video. But I don't know that a PC is going to be able to handle 8 1080p 30 frame a second videos. In fact, if we look at the, let's see if I can pull it up here. If we look at, this is a clip from, or a screenshot from last week's show. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner the input with the tan or yellow border, top border, that shows the vMix Go in the picture. He's right-clicked that input and it brought up this menu of other available NDI resources, i.e. he doesn't want to have one input for each one of these resources on his work surface, on his desktop, because I think it would kill his PC to try to manage all that stuff at one time. Now, my hope would be that he'll figure out a way to kind of make that stuff semi-dormant until it's called on and put in preview or program, and maybe he already has, I don't know, so that it uses less resources. I know that's one of the tricks that Mike Versteeg used with VidBlaster, was basically to chop the frame rate down in the in vMix, their inputs, in VidBlaster, their modules. In the camera modules in vMix, he cut the frame rate down. So, if you were displaying 30 frames a second, you cut it down to 15 frames a second, you've now used half as much data to display what's going on in that module. Perhaps vMix will do something the same way, so that you can get as many different options for inputs available, where you can actively use them without having to right-click, select a new one, and then make it go. And one of the other things that was mentioned in the vMix show was that the camera that shows this picture again in the bottom left-hand corner, or actually, let's see, I think there's a graphic here. Yeah, that's the shot. That's the shot from the camera that's attached to the Go, and the Go was being used as a remote PC. And this is the entire network, but let's go to this picture. Yeah, there we go. So that shows the network connection and the Sony Sony PXWZ. I love it when they say Z instead of Z. Z100. And the Z100 is what was available on the network. And it went into the rest of the shooting match. But if you had 5 Z100s there, anyway, no, sorry. The purpose of showing you this is to say that Martin actually checked during the show live and saw that this Sony PXW Z100, which we assume was sending 1080p video, was only using 50 megabits per second to do it. So that's pretty promising if it's going to go at half the advertised rate. We'll have to see. Other questions. NDI is a network-based protocol. Will it work on a VPN, a virtual private network, which might be spread all over the world? Suddenly now I'm drawing in cameras from across the pond if I want to, if I'm on the same VPN. You know, I've seen a question already asked, you know, will it just be an internet-based protocol where it'll work anywhere? Well, there's a lot to do to accomplish that. Firewalls, certainly not the least of that. Is it possible to run it over Wi-Fi? Yes, it is possible to run it over Wi-Fi, but keep in mind, the Wi-Fi is going to be far lower speeds than the gigabit network. Wi-Fi might be anywhere from 20 to 400 as opposed to a full gig. So 20 megabits to 400 megabits. But if you've got a 1080p camera, 30 frames a second, that's pushing 50, and you say, okay, we're going to go down to 720p on that camera, and now maybe it's only pushing 30, and you've got a Wi-Fi network that's might give you consistently 50, then conceivably that camera could be available on the Wi-Fi network. That's going to be interesting to find out. So that could affect folks like Teradek. In fact, Teradek is probably deep in this already as a way to protect their turf, because it could just really mess things up. Hello, Jean. Welcome to the show. It says, does NDI dial down for users in the SD format? Yes. NDI will do any resolution you want. It will do, assuming that there's enough bandwidth there, it's intended, I suspect, for 4K, but it's going to be used for 1080. I'm going to use it for probably 720. No reason why it can't be used for 480 or 360 or 240 or 180 or whatever. It's just a transport. It's a compression and transport system. So it's a big truck, and we can put 20 small packages in it, or we can put 2 large packages in it, and the truck will haul it back and forth. It's really cool. NDI is also multi-point to multi-point. And I haven't figured out the practical application of that yet, but I guess it would be if I've got 3 PCs and each PC has got 2 cameras, then that means each PC has got the capacity to receive data, to receive video from 6 cameras. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, is your brain just not exploding? Mine is just exploding. Doesn't take much. It's not very big. I've got a note here. I need to set up an in-house gigabit network, and then yeah, and I think we've already talked about it. My last note was capture cards. Are capture cards going to be obsolete? Maybe, maybe. I wouldn't be buying stock in Magewell right now unless I had an inkling that they were developing an NDI converter, because they're going to sell the poo out of that. Can I use poo on the internet? Okay, we're about out of time. Boy, and I didn't get through everything I wanted to get through. NDI, do your Google homework on NDI. The NewTek website has got a lot of information on it. They're going to be announcing it officially at NAB in April. A lot of folks supposedly are going to be announcing NDI compliant, compatible devices and applications there, including the vMix folks. vMix has already, Martin Sinclair, that guy's brilliant. Don't let, and Tim is probably too, but don't let their demeanor fool you. Those guys are brilliant. They have already deeply adopted this NDI technology. They see it. And folks at Wirecast need to get on the stick. Folks at VidBlaster need to get on the stick and be able to get this stuff in theirs as well, or they're going to fall off the table. I mean, this could be the separation point for live video production software. The folks at OBS need to get on it. Anyway, out of time. We'll probably pick this subject back up a little bit next week. Feel free to send me an email if you'd like some more information. EasternShoreBroadcasting.com. There's a contact form there, or you can just put Tom at in front of it, and I'll get the email, Tom at EasternShoreBroadcasting.com. If you're interested in any of these guys, they're in our store. We don't have any NDIs yet, but I tell you what, we're going to figure that out. We may come back with from NAB with a bagload of them. If you need help with your PC, making it ready to stream, call me. I had a great chat with some folks this morning about that. If you think that you're ready to throw up your hands and say, I'm done dealing with the Dell PC from Best Buy, Tom, what would it cost to build a streaming PC just for me that does what I need? That's what I do. I'm happy to do it. Shoot me an email, give me a call, we'll chat about it, and it'll be a lot of fun, I promise. Until next time, think of NDI. Keep your eyes out. Keep your radar up. See what you can find out and figure out. And if you get some cool stuff, please share it with me. And I'll continue to share good stuff with you. So let's see. We got to figure out how to close this show. Yeah, we got to get rid of that graphic. That graphic had to go. Sorry about that, folks. Oh, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, if you've made it this far in the broadcast, you probably ought to just go ahead and subscribe. Just bite the bullet and subscribe. It won't be that bad. If you're watching us live, please hang around. John, who showed up late, is now going to be in charge of refreshments in the post show. So we'll put that on John. Anyway, take care. We'll see you soon.